Hello world, Lindsay here, liaison to the senior partners of Blackhorn and Lynx. Let's play CyberHyve.
Now when you say planting in the new moon, does that mean planting just that one day when the moon is new?
Well, they use it about 2 days, 3 days, along the same sign and the same thing. Now, the old people used to, whenever they had a little baby and they wanted to wean him, they weaned him at a certain time of the moon. Yeah.
What sign of the moon was that, do you recall?
Well, now, right offhand, I ain't going to tell you because I don't remember.
Yeah.
But they used to have a certain time of the moon that they started to wean a baby.
What date in the spring would you plant your garden usually?
Well, just as soon as the weather moderated enough that there wasn't no danger of getting killed. Now, anybody knows that ever planted anything, the earlier you plant anything, the heavier the fruit is. Now, corn the same way. The earlier you plant corn, the heavier the ear corn is. And everything else.
Do you ever plant on Valentine's Day?
Well, I don't know where I did that particular or not, but my daddy always planted his garden on Good Friday. And I'll tell you something else too, and if you don't believe it, you get your almanac and keep of it. Easter Sunday comes the third full moon after Christmas Day. After the third Sunday, after the third full moon after Christmas Day is Easter Sunday, where it's in March, April, or May. Now I have seen it be in the first Sunday in May.
Yeah, it moves around quite a lot.
Yeah, it does, but it comes the third Sunday after the third full moon after Christmas Day, whichever it is. Now a lot of times, back in them times there, you have 2 full moons in 1 month. And we had 2 months this year that had 2 full moons in it.
Yeah. Somebody was telling me that there were 13 full moons this year, and when you have 13 full moons in a year, it means it's going to be dry.
Well, now, I don't know so much about that, but a lot of times there's 1 or 2 months in a year that has a full moon. 2 full moons, I mean. Now, I don't remember, it ain't been too far back that one of the months had a full moon on the first and the last day.
If that happens, if you have 2 full moons in a month, what does that mean?
Just 2 full moons, all I can tell you.
But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't plant or you should plant or
Oh, you still go by the
good luck or
sign.
bad luck or whatever.
Yeah, you can plant a full moon's a good time to plant a crop. Now you plant corn on new moon and it'll grow as high as fishing poles. It will. The air will be right at the top of it. You have to pull it down to get the air.
Yeah. Well, is it good to have corn grow real high?
Well, usually it don't, not too high. But you plant it on full moon and it'll grow high. It'll grow like fishing pole.
Yeah. How about fishing by the signs? When's the best time to fish?
Well, now a lot of people do that and the temperature, but I ain't never been that smart of fishing because I don't fish. But I know a fella, this lady that's helping me there, she's got an uncle that used to, he ain't able this year, but up until this year, he's been a good fisherman. And he'd check the temperature of the water. And when the temperature get right, he'd have his bait, he'd ready to go fishing. And he always caught them. But now, what kind of the temperature he was kept up with, I don't know. Always last year, I kept fishing about twice a month or maybe 3 times a month. carry him to the river, and then go back and get him. He'd always have a bunch of fish too.
Yeah.
But he'd check the temperature of the water. Then he'd get up his bait, and then he'd come up out of my house and says, I've got the fever. I said, all right, what time you want to leave in the morning? Then I'd go pick him up.
What kind of fish does he usually
Well, he usually
catch?
caught redbreast, perch, like that. Before I'd carry him and put him in, and before I'd go and pick him up, it'd take him about all day to make his trip, because I'd carry him and put him in before I come up here, and then when I went back, then I didn't have but a little bit to wait when I went back to pick him up. But he'd stay all day in his boat, you know.
Do you ever use plants that you get out of the woods or the fields, wild plants, for anything?
Yeah, I know quite a few of them. I know ginseng, I know mayapple, and black root, and bluegrass,
What do you use them for?
sassafras, all right. Mayapple is system tonic. Bluegrass is good for indigestion. Now, it'll stop the indigestion. Sassafras, you use the bark of the root of that. There's two kinds of it. There's the white and the red. You don't use the white, you use the red, you make a tea out of it, like tea. And it's good to break out the measles on you too. It's hard to break out measles, having measles.
What part of the mayapple do you use?
Use the root. Call it yellow root. But the actual name of it is mayapple.
How about ginseng? Does that grow? around
Ginseng,
here?
it grows just in the shape of a human's body. And it works on your sex organ.
Works on what?
Sex organ is what it works.
Does that grow around here?
No, it's in North Georgia in the hills a little bit, not too much of it.
Yeah.
But we don't have it here in South Georgia.
Did people used to go up to North Georgia to get it, or did
Oh
they buy
yeah,
it
you
down here?
can buy it, you know. You see it advertised now once in a while in the market bulletin, but somebody's got somebody. And then we have a medical herb here called Samson snake root. Little once in a while you find some of that, not too much of it.
What do you use that for?
Well, it's for tonic, more or less, like that.
Were there ever any plants that you used for mixing with tobacco to make the tobacco go further?
Oh yeah, we got plenty of deer tongue, they call it here. It grows in the flats here. They gather that and mix it with tobacco. That's all over the South Georgia.
How does that taste? Do you like it?
Well, when you mix it with tobacco, it's got a kind of a different smell to it, but you can't tell much difference to it.
How about herbs and plants like that? Did you grow any seasoning plants?
Oh, my mother used to grow sage. They used to put in, they make the sausage, you know, or season anything with. They made that. They grow the hot pepper and all such as that.
How did they use those hot peppers?
Well, when it's green, you eat it. You cut it up in your vegetables, peas, butter beans, and such as that. And then when it gets red, you grind it up and put it in your sausage whenever you're killing hogs. You know, mix it with sage. And your sage, you take it and rub it when it's dry, you know, and then mix your hot pepper with it. My daddy used to make his sausages. When you'd eat them, you'd have to throw in your breath, you know, cool your mouth, it'd be so blooming hot. Now, I used to, when I was a boy, if you didn't have enough casings to stuff your sausage, no, you use shucks. Shuck your corn and wash your shucks, and then made your sausage meat, and it's just exactly the size of your ear of corn, you know, and then pull your shuck back and tie it up on the end of it, hang it up and let it drop. Then whenever you want to cook it, you know, you take it down and pull your shuck off, you'd have pound or something, half pound stickers of ground sausage meat.
Yeah. Was there a name for that? Did you call it shuck sausage or anything like that?
Well, we just call it sausage meat. Yeah, we call it dried sausage meat. The people used to kill cow, you know, beef, and they dry. You know.
How about signs for the weather? How do you know if it's going to rain or not?
Well, the best sign that I ever knowed in the world was cloudy all the way around and pouring down in the middle. But now, the old sign is, you used to see a bank in the west, you know. The sun set behind the bank on Monday and Tuesday night, it'll rain before Friday night. And then another sign, the wind blows out the southwest, 6 to 8 hours is rain. That's a good sign. But my sign is more or less like Indian sign. It's cloudy all the way around, pour down in the middle. But all signs failed in dry weather. It does.
That's right. Like this year.
That's right.
Somebody was telling me that when somebody died years ago, the women in the neighborhood would come around to help out at the house. Is that right?
Oh, well, back when I was a boy, they didn't have no undertakers or nothing like that. You know, a person in the neighborhood that died, they go there and set up and wash and lay him out. Which I done a million times my own self, wash and lay them out since I've been grown. You know, I have shaved them after they died. I've done that. But then back in them days, there wasn't no undertaker. You went, there was what they call a general store in town. He handled groceries, dry goods, and hardware, and coffins. Nowadays they call them caskets. Back them days they call them coffins. If they bought them, most of them, I hope, make them anyway. You know, it'd make you. I had set up all night and make a casket, and the women folks would pat it, you know, on the inside.
Was it the men or the women who would?
The men done the work and the women done the padding. You know.
How about bathing and dressing the?
Well, if it was a woman, the women done that, and then if it was a man, the men folks done it.
Do you recall the first time you ever helped with that?
Yeah, the first time I ever hope to do anything like that, it fell my lot to shave an old man. That's something I hadn't never done, but I think myself to myself, well, everybody else does it, I can too. So I fell in line with the rest of them.
Do you get used to it after a while?
I sit up with them until they die, and then wash and lay them out and shave them.
What did you have for medicine when you were growing up?
Well, if it hadn't been cast oil, I reckon every damn blame one of us youngsters would have been dead, because if you ever complain with a stomachache or headache, you got a dose of cast oil and turpentine.
Castor oil and turpentine?
Right.
Mixed together?
Yeah, you put you about a big cooked spoonful of castor oil, you put you about 2 drops of turpentine.
Any others? What'd you do for cuts and bleeding?
Put a little turpentine with casein on it, that's what you use.
Yeah.
If you stuck a nail in your foot, the same thing.
Was there any way to stop blood?
Yeah. The best thing that I ever found to stop blood on you is spider webs.
Yeah. Do you recall anybody ever reading something from the Bible to stop blood?
I've heard of that, but I never seen nobody do that. I've heard of it. But I do know that spider webs will stop it. I know that.
Did people used to believe that that there were people in town who were witches or anything like that? They
Well,
gave spells
yeah,
or anything?
you get that. That's been going on ever since the written word.
Yeah.
Nowadays, most of them are call them quacks.
Right. Yep. Somebody was telling me about remembering a man that made snake canes. Do you know what they are?
So what?
Snake canes. Kind of a walking cane with a snake carved on the outside.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen them walking sticks with a gator carved on them too.
With a gator carved
Yeah,
on it?
I have.
You don't know anybody that does that kind of carving. I'm sure you could if you said you
Yeah, I
wanted to.
could, but now I don't know of anybody nowadays that does that. Now I have taken a deer foot after it's dry, and killed it, and use it for the hammer.
Taking what?
Deer foot.
Deer foot?
Yeah. With its huff, take it with it and bend it, and all let it dry, get good and dry, and then you can set it in, glue it in a walking cane and use it for the hammer. I'm making them.
You ever hear anything about the Axon lights down there in Atkinson County?
What now?
The Axon lights, they're called. Kind of lights that you can see down in the woods sometimes, down around Axon.
No, I ain't never been down there around Action, but you don't have to go there. I can carry you out in Willacoochee there where on any damp, foggy night, there's an old house place that a light come up and go to a little old flat top of pond and go out. I've seen that hundreds of times. Not only myself, but plenty other people have seen it.
What do they think causes that?
I don't know.
Yeah. Must be kind of spooky to see that.
No, it don't. It didn't make me feel bad. Now, you sitting in a spooky house. If you want to know the fact of it.
Is that right?
That's right. I have been in here when there'd be a racket up here, it'd be just as still as a mouse. Sound like the whole damn bottom of the top was coming on. That's right.
What do you suppose it is?
Ain't no use to get scared of nothing like that. It ain't gonna hurt you. But I've been in here and it'd be just as still as a mouse. And it'd go up there, it's like wind or blowing plastic or something up against the wall. It has, more times than one.
It's not birds, huh?
And then up here at this here church right up here, they can close the door, they hit the season, and a lot of times they come back in the morning, the doggone thing is open. Right. Yeah, it's spooky.
Yeah.
You know what? I have seen cows with no head.
Cows with no head?
Well, I have. I got a brother that died when he was 18 months old. Night or two, the house that we lived in that he died in, and the bed that he died on, there was a racket started at the back door that went in the back room there. It went to the door that went into the shed kitchen, just like something was pouring rocks on tin or something else. And he got to that door there, it hushed. And right there at that door where he was laid out at. And after he died, it never was here no more. And the old house place was right behind this lady that's a helping me, is Daddy's old field. Now, some people don't believe in it, but I believe you're warned a lot of times. I do.
When you used to play for the square dances back then, did people ever beat straws on the fiddle?
I can beat straws.
Can you?
Yes, sir.
How many straws do you use when you
Just
beat
one time. Just one straw.
Let's suppose this is the straw here. Well, that's not a very good one.
Well, now, back this here.
How do you hold it?
You hold that straw right there, you take this finger like that. like that.
So you hold it, let's see, in your left
You hold
hand.
it just like that, and then you take these two fingers and you
Make a fork out of your fingers and go up and down.
Right. You do.
Yeah.
But now then, I don't know where there's any doggone broom throw around here if you can make a doggone throw out of it. I don't.
Yeah. I've heard people call this part of
Sweetheart, you better get ready to go. It's 10 minutes till 4. You better get ready and go ahead. Don't miss your appointment.
I won't be more than 10 more minutes if you don't mind. Is that
Go
all
right ahead. I'll just tell her because I've got another hour and 10 minutes. But she's got to go and get her shot at the doctor. And I didn't want her to miss her appointment. God, I don't know so much about that. Used to able to sprinkle grass or weed that come up, you had to get a hoe and get out there and dig it up. But the lady is now they can't get the grass thick enough. You know.
Yeah. Times change, and maybe we'll go back to sweat.
Well, the old saying is time changes everything. There ain't no better, and the old saying is history repeats itself, which is true. Now, what we're doing right now, 15 or 20 years ago, you couldn't hardly give it away. And look what it is today.
I met a fella out here about 3-4 weeks ago, and he told me that his daddy used to tell a story which he called the moonshine holler hunting story. You ever hear a story about something like moonshine holler hunting?
No, I don't believe I have.
The story had something to do with somewhere in the story there was a man going up a tree, and it went something like, and he clumb and he clumb and he clumb and he clumb. Then he clammed down.
I didn't know nothing about that.
Yeah, well, I've asked several people about it, and nobody's ever heard it before.
I ain't. That's my first time.
Yeah. You ever trade any mules when you were younger?
Nope, never one of those mules walk.
Did you
I'm
ever-
proud of anyone.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I did do when I was a boy though. In the spring of the year, I plowed a mule that when you plow down on that like this your branch here down here and the wind would be blowing and blow the bushes, she'd run away with you. She'd do that. She would. Yeah, she'd run away with you.
How'd you get your mules when you were younger? How'd your family get them?
Well, they usually went to the leaving the stable and bought them. Drive careful, sweetheart.
Did you ever know any mule swappers?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the last one was in Willacoochee with a fellow by the name of Cochran. He was from South Carolina. And he was a Cochran, all right. He skinned you. Yeah. He wasn't a Jew. He was.
You ever know anybody that bought a mule off of him?
Oh yeah, my daddy bought several mules off of it. But he skinned him every time. He skinned everybody they ever deal with. But one old man, used to be an old man child of that Willacoochee, that he didn't get ahead of it. Now he skinned you too. And he skinned old Cochran. He would. Yeah, he skinned him.
You ever hear any stories back in Willacoochee about gold being buried under the ground?
Oh yeah, there's a fellow there that I used to work with in a blacksmith shop there. He bought a farm out about a mile and a half out of town there, an old settle place. And he found a bunch of gold at the old house place. And it was back in the time of whenever after they called all the gold in. And they stayed on his tail for 2 years trying to make him tell it. And he told him by God that he lied about it and he'd die about it, and he did. He died and nobody knows what he done with that gold.
Is that right? Where did he find it?
Out there on an old nose place. About a mile and a half out on 135 going toward Douglas.
Did he find it right in the house?
No, it was at an old house place. There's an old tree, an old white oak tree. They never did make him tell about it.
And nobody knows whatever happened to it, huh?
Nope. Oh, come right in, young lady.
What are you making?
Well, right now,
Not much you can do about it.
oh, our best days here is on Saturday. I sold everything that we had made here last Saturday. Everything we had. We sold one lady from North Carolina, 4 baskets, 2 of them the size of this, and one the size of that little one that you looking at up there, and another one just a little bigger.
Were you busier in the winter or the summer?
Well, it's a year round. Now, I started after retired as a hobby. And I hadn't for about, did a lap in there about 25, 30 years, and I didn't make any baskets because, like I say, was raising a family, and I was doing other work, trying to make bread for them. So, about 30, 35 years lap in there, and I didn't do any basket work. And just, baby girl living up here at Athens, we went up there on vacation. And they all went off one day and left at the house out in the country out there. And I went down in the gully there and I found this photograph. If I can find me an axe, I know something of it. And I went back to the house, finally found the axe, and I got my nose file and rubbed it up, sharpened it, and I went back and cooked it down the oven. When they come back late that afternoon, I had me 3 baskets laid, but I ought not to started that because I ain't rested since. And I make them here, I make them at home, and then when I go up there, they always got a bunch of orders up there, and I still keep it going. And I got a hold of this lady that's helping me here about 7 months ago. I'd had several, wanted to try it. I'd try to, and their hands would get sore. No, they quit. Yeah. I got a hold of her, and she's about as tough as I am. She's been with me about 7 months now, and a good hand, easy to get along with, and there ain't no static betwixt neither one of us, and she's 52 and I'm 65, and we talk about the way we do. Now, I'll pay her $230 a month to help me. I'll pay her myself. And then I give her half of what we sell at the Rammer get their profit. And what I get from up there, out of the stuff I sell, we divide it. And her husband was a veteran of World War II. She draws a veteran pension and a Social Security.
Yeah. Has her husband passed on?
Yeah, he's been dead about 3 years. And they had a boy and a girl. The boy's man, he lives in Jackson, Mississippi, and the girl, she's going up this coming time of school. She finishes high school. She's going up there.
Yeah. When you were a boy, did you ever make toys or anything like that?
Oh, anything. We made slingshots, such as that. We made the Diz wheels, we call them, take an old spool, take an old tobacco can, cut a propeller in the way you twist it, set it, and wrap your string around. You had your staff there, and you pull that string, that turn that thing around, and then it'd go up.
Like a little helicopter, huh?
Yeah.
What'd you use for a shaft there on that propeller?
Oh, well, you punch the 2 holes in there and take it back them days, you could buy a shingle nail. You drive your shingle nail on each side of your hole in your spool, and cut them off where they stick up about 1/8 of an inch, high enough to hold your blade. And then you wrap your string around, then you hold out and pull your string, and that'll get it to turn because you go up.
So you had the spool on a stick or something?
Yeah, you take your stick, cutting out like this, and you'd work it down, till you'd have a shaft there just as high as your spool was, fit in the hole where it'd be smooth, and loose and turn. And then you drive your 2 nails in the end of it, cut them off. And then you make the propeller, you twist them, and you twist them the way when you pull it, the wind would pull it up, and then you give that a fast flash and hit it go up.
Yeah.
Call them Viz pellets.
What'd you call them?
Viz pellets. Y'all come right in, it don't cost more.
Did you ever make whistles?
Oh yeah.
Out of what?
Reed. Take squash stem, make
Squash
bugles
stem?
out of it, yeah, the squash vine. Cut the leaf off of it, and split the end of it, and make a bugle out of it. Man, you can hear that thing with your little chipping nearby.
Make a bugle out of it?
Yeah.
Huh. Did you just split one end and blow in the other? Is that the way
Oh,
it
you
works?
split the end of it where your leaf come out and where it be stuff up. But you split about an inch long, just put it in your mouth and blow it. You talk about a foot, you make it. Oh, such as that.
I'll have to try
Take
that.
elder wood and make pop guns, such as that. Use
Yeah.
sweet potatoes for stoppers, or either green China bears. And from here to that door, I made it where you could shoot you with it and draw a blister on you. All such as that. Did something other all the time like that for amusement. You didn't go to town and buy a toy or something other like that. You got out and made it.
You ever try making any toys? The kids around here might enjoy them and might even
I don't
buy 'em.
have time to make that.
Making too many baskets, huh?
Yeah. Time I get around to basket making, tray making, and spinning wheel making, and I've got 9 pawn shops I do the gun repair work for. I don't have time to make toys.
Yeah. The older you get, the busier you get, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I also found out if you want to die, sit down. I found that out too. Now there's a bunch of people there in Willacoochee retired before I did, and ain't one of them living. They went home, sat down. Every one of them dead.
Yeah. You ever know people how do people decorate gravestones?
My grandfather was 115 years old when he died. And now I am 101 years old. That's enough. She used to work, but what she made, I don't know. I never asked her.
You just go ahead and talk away there. You don't mind, do you, Uncle Patton?
Now, and now your husband and you both are young. You all try to live like young people ought to live. Don't want everything somebody else has got. Whatever you get, it is yours. Be satisfied. And don't spend your money until you get it. So many people get in debt. Well, it was cheap and I bought it. You spend your money before you get it because you're going in debt for what you want. When you want something, wait until you get the money and pay for it cash. That's what I've done. If I wanted anything, I waited until I got the money and I paid for it cash. I never bought nothing on time in my life. Now, plenty of people, if they want a suit of clothes, they go to work and they buy them on time. Well, they said it was cheap. If you got the money, you can buy them cheaper. They want something for waiting on you for till you get ready to pay them. And if you got the money, you can go where you choose and buy it when you want it. You see? Don't buy it because somebody else go down and run a debt and run a bill, or I'm going to run it too. Don't do that. I never done it. Now I'm 100 years old and I don't owe nobody 5 cents. But I ain't got no money either. But I'm happy, just as happy as somebody that got millions. Nothing worries me. My head ain't even white. And nothing in the world worries me. I can sit here in this house till night. Nobody can come and say, Mr. Hughes, you owe me a quarter, you owe me $1, you owe me 5 cents. No, you can't. I don't owe you nothing. Why? I never made no bills in my life. And I'm living too. And I'm 100 years old. And if you take my advice today, you'll never make a bill. Of course, what you want, give me money, pay them cash. And then the rest of the money is yours. But when you run a bill, so much and so much, and you don't have to pay nothing down. It's all, and when you come to pay, it's all, you have to pay no more. But they're charging you more. They're getting something out of it, else they wouldn't trust you. But I can't just say what they're getting. But they're getting something out of it, else they wouldn't want your credit. Now, I tell you that. Anybody that trusts you for $2 or have an account with them by the month or by the week, store account or any account, they are getting something out of it. Else they don't want to accommodate you that much to trust you. Now, if I want, of course I ain't got no clothes, but if I want some clothes, if I ain't got no money, I'm going to wait till I get the money to buy them. Indeed I am. I'm not going to say, of course, I can get them on trust. I go down and get them. I got to pay $1 more anyhow. They'll either charge more if they say taxes or so much. But if I got the money to pay cash, if I pay the taxes and all down cash, then it's all done. So many colored people is head over heels in debt. Trust them, trust. I get it on time. If I want a set of furniture, go down and pay down so much and rest on time. You done paid for them then. When you pay down so much, you may charge you $50 for $100 for a set, and you pay down $25 cash. You done paid for them. That's all it was worth, $25. And you pay now. I'm $75 in debt now because I have to pay $100. That's it, and it's only worth about $25. But you bind on time. But people ain't got sense enough to know it. But when you get old like I am, you come in and think, well, I have done wrong. I should have kept my money until I wanted this thing, and when I wanted, I take my money and go cash for it. Else I do without it. Yes, suppose you want a new dress. You say, well, I buy it, but I don't need it, but I can get it on time. Well, let's go down to the store today and get something on time. Well, you go down and get the dress on time, something else, and I want that, you sell that to you on time. You don't have to pay nothing down, but there's a payday coming. And when the payday comes, they want you come pay them. If you don't, they can't get no more. Well, if you never do that, if you don't start it, you will never end it. I never did buy nothing on time. I must tell you on this. I'm sitting right here now today, and if it's the last word I've got to tell you, I never even much as tried to buy a shirt on time. And plenty of people go down to the store and buy $3 and $4 for a shirt, $7, $8 for a pair of pants. Of course, they get them on time. I don't know, no. I say, I buy something for $5. Of course, I got the $5. I pay for it. I'm done with that.
You talk about how old you are, Uncle Fountain.
Well,
How far back do you remember?
I remember. Well, I tell you, things come to me in spells, you know. I remember things more when I'm laying down than I do when I'm walking around.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in my boy days, boys live quite different from the way they live now. But boys wasn't as mean as they are now either. Boys lived they had a good time. The masters didn't treat them bad. And they was always satisfied. They never wore no shoes until they were 12 or 13 years old. And now people put on shoes on babies, you know, when they're month old. I don't know how old. Put shoes on babies. Just as soon as you see them out in the street, they got shoes on. I told a woman the other day, I said, I never had no shoes till I was 13 years old. She said, what, but you bruise your feet all up and stump your toes? I said, yes, many times I've stumped my toes and blood run out of them. That didn't make me buy me no shoes. And I've been, you wore a dress like a woman till I believe 10, 12, 13 years old.
So you wore a dress, Phil?
Yes, I didn't wear no pants, and of course didn't make boys pants. Boys wore dresses. Now the women's wearing the dresses, and the boys are going with the women's wearing the pants now, and the boys wearing the dresses. Still.
Who did you work for, Uncle Fountain?
Who did I work for?
Yeah.
You mean when I was a slave?
Yeah, when you were a slave, who did you work for?
Well, I belonged to Burnley's when I was a slave. My mother belonged to Burnley's, but we was all slave children, and soon after, when we found out that we were free, well, then we were bound out to different people, Ficklin, and Andrews, and all such people as that. And we'd run away and wouldn't stay with them. Well, then we'd just go and stay anywhere we could, and lay out at night and anywhere. We had no home, you know. We just turned out like a lot of cattle. You know how to turn cattle out in the pasture? Well, after freedom, you know, colored people didn't have nothing. Colored people didn't have no beds when they were slaves. They all slept on the floor. Colored here and colored there. Just like a lot of wild people. We didn't know nothing. We didn't like to look at no book. And there were some free-born colored people where they had a little education, but there were very few of them where we was. And we all had a, what you call, I might call it now, a jail sentence. We just same as we were in jail. Now I couldn't go from here across the street, or I couldn't go to nobody's house without I have a note or something from my master. And if I had that pass, that was what we call a pass. If I had that pass, I could go wherever he sent me, and I'd have to be back. When whoever he sent me to, they'd give me another pass, and I'd bring that back, so to show how long I'd been gone. We couldn't go out and stay an hour or 2 hours or something like that. Just send you. Now, say for instance, I go to Shirley's place, I'd have to walk, and I'd have to be back maybe in an hour, maybe they'd give me an hour, I don't know just how long they'd give me.